much for coming to the GivingRocket.com webinar today. My name is Casey Graham, founder of GivingRocket.com, and we are absolutely fired up that you're going to be here today. And we've got churches from all across the country going to be on the call today, and it's just going to be a great day. It is 2 o'clock here in sunny, very, very hot Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm actually in my home church offices of North Point Community Church. Pastor Andy Stanley here. This is the church I go to, and if he walks down the hall or something, maybe we could bring him in on the call. That would be fun, wouldn't it? But anyway, we're going to talk today about some very practical and very helpful stuff. And we've got people logging in left and right. And so what I'm going to do is I would love to just pray for the call before we jump into all the details and all the stuff that we're going to be doing. I'm going to pray that God would use the time that we're going to be together right now, and I'm going to pray that He would use this for His glory and for everything that we're going to do to help talk about building high-capacity donors and givers in our church. So let me pray for us, and then we will get started. Father, thank you so much for the churches that are logged in from all across the country. I'm just so excited just to be a part of this call today. And Lord, I just want to pray for every church that's represented. My prayer would be that every single church represented would see this as a discipleship tool. They would see this as your heart, because God, we know in Matthew you said, where our treasure is, that's where our heart will be also. And so I just want to pray for that right now. And I want to pray for our motives and my motives and everybody's motives on the call, that we would use this today as an opportunity to extend your kingdom and extend your influence all around the world and all around the church. We love you so much, and we pray this in your name. Amen. All right, guys, well, let's go ahead and jump in. I am Casey Graham. I am the founder of GivingRocket.com, and people oftentimes ask, what is GivingRocket.com? And it's very simple. GivingRocket.com is a done-for-you giving system. We found out in traveling around the country that consultants usually just add a lot of work to people's plate. And so instead of just adding work to people's plate, we said, let's just do the work for them. And that's what we do. So we'll talk to you a little bit later. We'll let you know what our company does a little bit later in this. I just wanted to let you know that's who I am, founder of that. And Twitter, at Casey Graham. If you're on Twitter or Facebook, you can go to our fan page. Check us out there. And actually, on the call today, I'll be giving away some cool stuff. If you do a tweet to me, at Casey Graham, and if you ask a question, or you can just say you're on the webinar, or whatever you want to do, but at Casey Graham, and you'll get a cool resource that we will be able to send out to you today, which will be awesome. And so let's just jump in, and let's just talk about some of the things that we're going to be talking about today. A couple of success stories of people who have been on some of our calls recently. We have members from all across the country that are applying this stuff, and Pastor Zach White, he's the lead pastor of Revolution Church in Texas. Pastor Zach came and he said, here's what I need 100K in 6 months. Pastor Zach ended up taking out $80,000 in one day, and his church plant is no more than 18 months old. And so they're doing a great job down in San Antonio, Texas, and they've actually surpassed this goal. It actually went up to about 150, and that's for their little small church plant down in Texas, which is absolutely awesome. Another story I love this is Jeremy Copeland. He sent me a tweet. He said, hey, I sent out the quarterly, the Q1, which means the first quarter statements today via email. And within a few minutes, I had someone sign up for recurring giving and another for giving online. And so immediately by sending out some statements via email, he sent out the quarterly, because we believe in sending out quarterly contribution statements to all of your donors every single quarter, and because of that, it was unbelievable. You know, he had people sign up right then, right there. So that was absolutely worth the price of admission. Then we have Pastor Stephen Gibbs out of Stone Creek Church here, actually right down the street, and a good friend of mine. Does a great job partnering with Compassion International, working with sex slavery stuff. And yes, I mean, this past weekend they launched on Mother's Day, I think, single moms ministry called First Call. And it was so awesome because the offering, that they take up 2 offerings throughout the year, and this offering, which was absolutely awesome, is last year they took up $20,000. This year they took up $60,000. And he said, obviously, you know, they were applying some of our principles, but they're just doing a great job there. And so we've just seen some success stories of people actually plugging in this stuff. And so if you have a success story from the call today, or if you plug something in that works, send it to us. And we'd love to get it out there and show that there's real people doing this stuff. It's not just somebody sitting in the office thinking of theory, but this stuff actually works every single day in churches all around the country. And what we're going to talk about today is building a high-capacity donor system, And here's what I like about what we're going to talk about today. This is a real difference maker, no matter the size of your church. The other thing is that it doesn't cost a lot to implement. And so we're going to just give you a couple of secrets and a couple of things that you can do in your church, no matter what size, no matter what state, no matter what country that you're in, and you're going to be able to plug in something from the call today. Listen, I wrote a book last year called Funded and Free with Joe Sangle, a friend of mine. And we wrote, it has 50 chapters in it, and our whole goal was 50 things that you can hear today and do tomorrow, because we're not about theory, we're about getting stuff done and seeing giving go up in your church and the operational side of your giving. And so that's what we're going to do here today. And listen, we're going to give you a complete system. We get paid about $3,500 a day to go into churches and help them with this type of the information I'm going to give you right now. You being on the call, again, obviously it's free and you're here. Take this, apply this, and I promise it will absolutely help you. If you just plug in one or two things we talk about, even if you can't do the whole system, just do one or two things and you will see results in your church, and you will see them fairly quickly. So let's start jumping through this, and let's just get to it right now. So we're going to talk about how to love and how to leverage financial leaders in your church. And I think the first question we've got to ask is, why in the world does this even matter? Why in the world does this even matter? What is the big deal? I mean, this subject, frankly, is a taboo subject in a lot of churches. There's actually a lot. I get my most questions from people around the country. It's about this subject. That's why we had so many people sign up for this webinar, is because we've had just so many people asking questions and so many people want to know, is it wrong to connect with high-capacity donors? Is it kosher to do that? Should you do it? Should you not do it? And all of that kind of stuff. And so I'm going to tell you why this matters, and I'm going to tell you why I believe that every church should have some strategy, even if it's a small one, to connect with high-capacity leaders and high-capacity donors in your church. And here's why it matters, is because, number one, greed is an absolute addiction, and it's the most socially acceptable addiction in your church. We actually applaud greedy people in our culture, and it is something that's hard to see, and I can't see it in my life. I have to have people around me, and you can't see it in your life, and we think we can, but we really deceive ourselves and we can't. But greed is something that can sneak up, just like lust, just like deception, just like anything else in our life. And I believe that greed is an addiction that people are fighting in your church. Just like sexual addiction, just like drug addiction, just like any other addiction, I believe that greed and high-capacity leaders struggle with this way more than just the regular person. And so we're going to talk a little bit about why they do it. And I really do believe that greed, not only is it a widely accepted addiction in the church, which I think is hideous, but I really see that greed, it ruins families, it's ruining people's lives, it's ruining companies, it's ruining countries, and it's ruining churches very slowly around the world. And you can just see it, and we can see it in other people a lot, but it's hard to see it in ourselves. And so I think this matters because this is an issue of people's relationship with God more than it is a system we need to put in place to get something from them. And so if you want to write something down, my pastor, who's at this church, Northport Community Church, from where we're hosting this call today, he says to want something for people, not just something from people. And that's what this is about, wanting something for them, not just something from them. And so we're gonna dig through this. A couple other things I want to tell you about why this does matter is that high-capacity donors are people, not paper. High-capacity donors are people, not paper. And oftentimes, where we've gotten in trouble in church, where churches have gotten in trouble is when they look at people as a piece of paper instead of looking at people as people, and actually helping them as an individual, as a soul, as a person who has a relationship with a family, a relationship with God, and really focusing on them as a human being. I think another thing is that here's what I see happen in high-capacity donors. all around the country, and I run with some of this crowd in different churches and different nonprofits and things, and what we're seeing is that people, they're just lonely. A lot of high-capacity people are lonely. Now they may have on the surface friends, or you may think because they have a big company or they're a real estate agent or whatever it is, that they have a lot of relationships, but in reality, oftentimes they don't, and they have a bunch of surface stuff, but they're lonely people. And so, guys, one of the best things we can do is actually be their pastor and be their friend, and not somebody that just wants something for them, but wants something from them. They are oftentimes, here is a key, guys, for today. High-capacity donors are oftentimes unfulfilled in your church. Now, I used to work in a church ministry and was over like a guest services ministry, and frankly, I'm just going to be honest with you here, I would get mad at people that weren't plugged in volunteering. And I would be like, well, you know what? They need to volunteer, they need to be in a group, and they need to give. They need to come to church. Those 4 things, go on a mission trip. And we had this 5G strategy at the church we worked at, and it was good and all this stuff. But frankly, I was asking a guy who leads a multi-million-dollar company if he would come in and serve coffee, and thinking that, you know, he needs to do that like everybody else needs to do that. Well, I'm just going to be straight up and be honest with you guys. That sounds good, and you may have people that do that, but oftentimes what high-capacity people are looking for is something unique and something that's a challenge, and something that's going to challenge them as an individual in your church, because they're unfulfilled at sitting there with just the little small menial tasks, because they know how to do big things and do big things well. And we're oftentimes just trying to give them a task and treat them like everybody else in the church. Should you favor them? Never favor them. Should you give them a unique opportunity? Absolutely, you can give unique opportunities. And so that's huge. Pastor Kerry Newhoff at Connexus Community Church in Barrie, Ontario, he said this. He said, our church reaches people that have everything and nothing. And so that's who we're focusing this call on today, is people in your church that have everything and they have nothing all at the same time. They may have, by the world standards, everything that is externally great, but internally they're empty and they have nothing. And that you have the opportunity to be their leader, you have the opportunity to be their pastor, you have the opportunity to be the person in their life that can influence them and help them. And so that's why this stuff matters. And again, I'm at Casey Graham on Twitter. If you have questions, comments, or anything like that, tweet it, and we'll give you something cool. And so as we keep going, just wanted to keep that in front of everybody. Okay, so let's jump in. Let's jump into this system. Now I'm going to give you some steps. This is practical stuff, so get ready. If you have a pen or you're typing it in or whatever you're doing, get ready, because here comes the steps of how to do, how to love and how to leverage these financial leaders in your church. And step one is this: is you got to decide who a high-capacity donor is. You got to decide who they are first. If you don't know who they are, you can't build a system to serve them. So you need to decide who your high-capacity donors are. Now, let me tell you how to do this. You can do it by dollar amount, which that's how much they've given total to your church through the year. You could do it by time given. Now, that surprises a lot of people when they get on a call with me, because they're like, what do you mean putting people in a high-capacity donor system when they've given a bunch of time? Well, let me tell you how I classify a high-capacity donor. I classify a high-capacity donor as somebody who gives a big percentage, or has the capacity to give a big percentage of their income. So whether they make $30,000 a year, and let's just say they're given 20%, that's a high-capacity donor to me. It's not just about the big boys or the big guys who can give $1 million or $500,000 or a $10,000 gift on Sundays, but it's also about people and their time. So it's dollar amount given, it can be time given, and then also just hand-picking people that you believe have the potential to be a high-capacity donor one day, or maybe they are and they just don't know it yet, or you can sense the spiritual gift of generosity in their life. You can just look at all around them, and they are just a generous person. They may be giving to people. They're oftentimes people who go out to eat with people and buy the dinner. They're oftentimes people who have people over to their house all the time. You're looking for that gift of generosity. And so these are the 3 things. And so what I would say to do is you can just craft and create a list of who are these people in your church. Guys, with our members, I would be able to drive down and tell you how to do this, but today, because we only have a short period of time, I'm just going to tell you that you got to decide who they are and create the list. I wish I could give you a little bit more, but we need to move on and go to the next step, okay? What? You got to decide what is the goal. What's the goal of your high-capacity donor system? Now, most people think oh, I'm getting on a webinar with Casey, and Casey Graham from GivingRocket.com sure sounds like giving a lot is the goal of high-capacity donors. Boo, it's not. Let me show you what the goal is. The first thing is to help them love God. Now, Pastor Chris Hodges of Church of the Highlands in Birmingham, Alabama, a model church for me. They do finances better than just about any church in America, and I love what they do. And Pastor Chris Hodges and them, what they help people do, and they help their board, they just help the people love God at a deep, deep, deep level, and they have an extremely generous church because of that. And so he'll tell you we don't have to talk about money a lot because he's not doing gimmicks and games and all this kind of stuff. He's building their relationship with Jesus. And when people have a relationship with Jesus, they understand that God owns 100% of everything, not just 10%. And when they own that and they get that, then releasing their funds is a joy. It's not just some thing that they feel like they got to do because they got to pay for a building project or some capital thing. This is going to happen at any time in the year, throughout the year, and they can become a completely holistic, whole life, generous person. The second thing is to help them love people, because here's what I know about high-capacity donors. They oftentimes feel used by people, and because they feel used by people, they have a hard time loving people very well. And a lot of high-capacity donors I see, they just don't have great relationship skills. And so you have the opportunity to help them with their relational skills and help them love people better. The third thing is to help them give big. You want to help them give big. And so inside of this, you want to lead them on a journey, help them love God, help them have better relationships with people, be a person in their life relationally, and then you want to help them give big. And give big, what that means is a percentage of their income. Again, like I said, you can be a high-capacity donor and make $50,000 a year. And frankly, I know a lot of high-capacity donors who make $50,000 or $60,000 a year, but they've done really well with their money, and they save up, and they can offer chunks, and they can give big. And I see a lot of people make $150,000 a year, and they spend every dime they have, and they leverage themselves out on mortgages they can't afford and all that kind of stuff. And so it's not just about the dollar amount. It's about the capacity of the donor, okay? So the first thing is who. You got to define who. Then you got to define what the system is about, and that's what I would say the system is about. And then you got to talk about how do you do this. Now let's get to the steps of this. How do you do this? The first thing is a weekly system. Now I'm going to just give you this. I'm going to give you the weekly system here in a minute. The second thing is you're going to have a monthly system that you can do. The third thing is quarterly, and then there's annually. And so there's 4 different components of this system. Now the great thing about this system is that you can pull this off on a shoestring budget. You do not have to have a bunch of money to pull this system off. Because it's something that can be done in churches, I mean, literally from pre-launch to right after launch to churches literally. I mean, we work with our largest churches, 8,500 people in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Pastor Dino Rizzo down there, and they do a great job with this stuff as well. And so everywhere in between. So that we're going to create the system. Here it is, all right? Here's the practical. Here's how you do it. This is weekly. Every week in your church, a weekly high-capacity system. For weekly gifts that exceed a dollar amount that you predetermine, they need to get the following. So let's just use $1,000, for example. And so if there's a weekly gift, and in your offering you get a gift and it's over $1,000, here's what that person should get: a handwritten thank you note from the pastor. A handwritten thank you note from the pastor. Now, as your church gets bigger, obviously you don't have to send this from the lead pastor every time, but the smaller your church is, probably the better it comes from the lead pastor, because your church is small and you're more connected to people. And so handwritten thank you note is one of the best things that you can do. Now, every church can do this. Now, you'd say, oh, that's a lot of work. No, it's not a lot of work. And I'm going to give you some tips on some ways you can pull this off to where you can do this and do it in a way that really helps. Now, when I was at Mountain Lake Church, the way I did this system is I pulled the weekly system off strictly through volunteer that came in and helped, a volunteer that was in charge of this in our church, okay? Another thing is an invitation to coffee or lunch. Again, you don't have to do this every time, but you want to keep it on the forefront. You want to be inviting because, again, we're connecting with these people relationally. This is not just about getting something from them, it's something for them. And so you do a handwritten thank you note. Somebody over $1,000 gives a gift. Handwritten thank you note from the pastor. You get an invitation to coffee or lunch. and then you just open up the door to have access to some of the senior leaders in your church. Now, what we have found in the churches that we work with is just having access and knowing that they have access to senior leaders, they will not usually abuse the access to the senior leaders. And what that does is it gives them the feeling of availability. Now, high-capacity donors are used to dealing with other high-capacity leaders. And if you're the church leader, I hope you're a high-capacity leader in your church and people want to connect with you on this. And so you have the opportunity to do that and to connect with these people and open up the door. So that's a weekly system that you can put in place. Every church can do this 52 weeks a year, and you can start today by deciding we're going to do this and we're going to connect with high-capacity donors in our church, and this is a great way to do it. And here's the deal, guys. You say, why would you do this? Well, what gets rewarded gets repeated is what, again, my senior pastor, Andy Stanley, says. What gets rewarded gets repeated, and so you want to engage in the relationship as soon as possible. Now, I'm going to tell you what a lot of churches do. They wait until there's a project, or they wait until there's a capital campaign, or they wait until they're trying to do some big thing, and that's when they engage the donor. Now, I'm going to tell you what that does. That means that that's like using somebody, you want something from them, so something for them. And so what you want to do is use this weekly system to build relational equity into those people so that you're developing them as people, you're developing them in their heart for God, you're developing them as donors, and you want to do that to build the relational equity. So when you do have a project, when you do have a capital campaign, when you do have something like that, it's way easier to connect in and make the ask of those people, okay? Monthly. This is going to be practical, so I hope you're ready. Monthly. You want to give a specialized communication to that list, because remember, the very first thing we told you is that you've got to identify the list, and that list should have email addresses on it of who these people are, who you're trying to connect with, etc. And so you want obviously their home address and their email addresses. And so you want to have a special communication that goes to them every single month. Now, here's what we've done and done it very well, and it's been very effective. It's insider information via email. Now, I'm going to tell you a pastor who does this that's done it very well. It's Pastor Scott Hodge at the Orchard Church in Aurora, Illinois. He's at Scott Hodge on Twitter. Great guy to follow, great pastor. And when I first started meeting with him, they didn't do a lot with their high-capacity donors except for asking them to fill in the gap at the end of the year if they were short. And so Pastor Scott has done a great job of keeping it very relational, but doing an insider information via email thing every single month. And here's a couple things you can do to connect with this group. They get to hear information first, and so you can let them know if you're going to have a big Sunday, if you've got something special coming, if something's coming on the pipe and you want them to know, this is the group that you want them to hear it first from you. And so you have an opportunity, whether by inbox or whether by mailbox, to get information to them, because, guys, I know how you are and I know how I am. Everybody likes to be in the insider scoop. Everybody does. That's why we like to know stuff. That's why people, like to tell people stuff, is because there's something about that insider information of knowing something first. People like that. So you get the opportunity, and you get to tell them that each month. Hey, you get to hear this first, and here's why. You're on our list. You're one of our high-capacity leaders, and we just want to let you know before you hear this from anybody else. It can be staff transitions. It can be, it can be positive things. It can be negative things, or whatever. Another thing is you want to make it personalized. You want to make it personalized. Do not send this monthly email or monthly thing out that feels corporate-y, that it feels like, it needs to be written where it feels like, hey, John, what's going on, bud? I mean, it needs to have good language like that, not like some formalized statement. The more formal it feels, the less likely somebody is to read it. And you have the opportunity to personalize it. Now, I'm not saying you have to send a personal email to everybody, but make the copy and make the content feel like you are emailing one person and you are emailing directly to them. And it can feel that way and feel good. And then here's the next thing, and this is something that is very important. This is very, 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 very important, okay? Is that you want to ask for a response from these people. When you send this thing out, so there's some type of response that you're trying to communicate. Here's where most pastors mess up with high-capacity donors, is that it's a one-way street. It's communication to them about something that we want them to do. What you want to do is you want to build a relationship where response and conversation is started, not just delivering them content. So you want conversation to happen, okay? Now I'm about to model this with you guys. If you have a question, or if you have a question for me or our team, we've got people ready on the chat. You can chat a question in. You can do a comment. There's a questions tab that you can use in the software. Again, you can go to Twitter. You can post a question at Casey Graham, and we want to have a conversation with you. We want to connect with you because you're on the call and you're a friend of ours, but we don't want to just give one-way content. So we want to do that. And the same thing you want to do, you want to ask for a response in this communication. And what it does is it builds trust in the relationship. You're able to build a response and do that every single thing. And so I want to share with you guys just a little bit about GivingRocket.com, what we are, who we are, and then we'll get back to the content. And I think this will be a huge piece of you guys getting this system and understanding it, okay? At GivingRocket.com is the first and only, we're a membership website. It's a community of people focused on helping you increase your operational revenue, 11 to 39%. That's what we do. So these type of calls, we have them every month. I'll tell you a little bit about those in a second. The other thing that we've done is we've taken down the financial barrier completely. We are sick of just high-priced consultants running around the country, and that's what you think you're supposed to pay. It's high price for financial consulting. You don't need to. You need done-for-you stuff, and when you have specialized like campaigns and things like that, yes, you can bring somebody in. But day in and day out, you need somebody just to do stuff for you and help you, and we've demolished the price barrier, and we've also give you access to the right people and content that's making a difference. I mean, guys, I don't know if you know this, but this past week, I literally got back into the fundraising thing, and we set out with a goal. My hometown of Pleasant Grove, Alabama, was destroyed by, and this ties into this high capacity donor thing big time. My hometown of Pleasant Grove, Alabama, was destroyed by tornadoes. And at immediaterelief.org, we just said, hey, let's start this. Let's do immediate relief to help fund these tornado victims who've lost everything. And we started with a goal to raise $10,000 in 24 hours. Guys, through social media, we raised $100,000 in 31 hours. It was unbelievable, but I'm telling you, the majority and the bulk of that came from high-capacity donor relationships that we had with people. And so that's what we want to do, is we want to give you access to these right people and access to the content that's going to help you with stuff like that, to raise big dollars and to raise it quickly and to help with your operational revenue. And we've got a membership offer. It's pretty irresistible because we've taken the barrier down. You can have a 2-week trial membership with us for $1. For $1, and that we just said, hey, we're going to charge them something. It needs to be $1, and if you want to quit, you can absolutely quit within the 2 weeks. But we want to give you access at GivingRocket.com/SummerSlump, and you can jump over there. And we just got a limited amount of these that we're able to give out this month. But it's for you, and we want you with these high capacity donor systems and all these systems that come up every single part of the year. We want you to have access to these, so we can do it for you. We can write the letter for you. We can do the contribution statement for you, and that's the benefit, okay? And if you sign up, here's what you get for $1. This is not a joke. You get the best-selling Explode Giving Now 2.5-hour seminar. You get the 52 creative ways to take up an offering. That's 52. You just get all of this. Special report, 4 shocking truths of church finances. You get the natural streams of fundraising seminar. You get call-in days with me where you can call in. Look at this. This is huge. Double your digital giving resource. You get that. And this Automate the Important resource is another system that we teach where you get people to automate their giving into your church. And what we found is when you get people to automate the important and they automate their giving, or recurring giving in an online donation, you will skyrocket your donations. And so, guys, you have the opportunity to do this for $1. That's it, and you get all of that. And that's a $299 resource. We sell it all the time for $299. And here's what you get. This is what you're going to get for $1. A done-for-you digital resource. So every month you get a digital resource. Guess what this month's resource is that you get access to? It's the entire high-capacity donor system. Every letter, every handwritten note, everything you get access to immediately. So everything that we're talking about, that we're saying you need to do this and do that, you're like, man, that's a lot of work. It's not, because you get it for $1 if you sign up in the membership area. You also get our resource vault. It's the docs, the forms, examples, and samples. And what people say, we did a poll of our people, and they said that's the reason we stay. Instead of me saying, hey, send out this, we just write it for you. We've done it for you. It's done for you, and that's what we're so fired up about. And then here's the number one thing people say they stay and they pay for in being a part of Giving Rocket, is that we do offering talks that are delivered to your inbox every week. So most people plan the music, most people plan the message. Most churches are horrible at offering talks and doing a great job in that 60-second to 2-minute window every single week. And so we write them for you, and you get them every single week in your inbox. And so you get telecoaching with me every single month. You get VIP replay of these calls. You get an hour telecoaching with me and top pastors. You get a monthly quick tip video. You get all of this for $1. And so the bottom line is it's dumb not to do it because you can cancel it. It only costs you $1, and you're going to get all of that kind of stuff. So it's a May membership offer, 2-week trial. We've taken all the barriers away. We're giving you all the benefits. I'm trying to bribe you to do it. And you say, why? Because I know when you plug this in, you're going to have an increase in your giving. And we know it works, and it's only for $1. We only have a few of these. And again, to even make this stronger, after 2 months, it's only $99 a month once it starts. And after 2 months, if you pay $99 both months and you say it's not worth it, tell us it wasn't worth it. We'll give you your money back. So you literally almost get to try this thing for 2.5 months with no risk on you, and we have all the risk on us. And so that's GivingRocket.com/SummerSlump. Go over, take advantage of that, and then now we're going to get back to the high-capacity donor stuff. And so that's just an offer we wanted to give you today, and we have people already jumping on it, and I think you guys should take advantage of it. It's really a no-brainer. So let's jump into the quarterly thing that you want to do with high-capacity donors with the quarterly contribution system, Here is something, I think the quarterly is a great place to start, even if you're doing nothing right now, okay? And if you're like, man, I can't do the weekly, I can't do the monthly, these quarterly spreads it out to where you can do it, but hosting some lunches and some coffees is a great way. It's a great way to connect into high-capacity donors. Now, I work with a church called the Life Church of Memphis. Man, it's a great church. Pastor John Siebling, Pastor Mundo Benesses, Pastor Dan Lord. They're the executive team there and a couple others, but they do a great job of what's called Kingdom Builders, and they call this their Kingdom Builders quarterly connection meetings where they get together and they do some stuff quarterly. And what you want to do is you want to invite small groups at the same time. You want to invite small groups at the same time to come in and to connect with you relationally. So they want to come in and you want to do some type of lunch, you want to do some type of breakfast on a Saturday morning, you want to do some type of dinner, but the best thing you can do is not do it at your church facility. If you can find a place outside your church facility, if you can find like a local country club or something like that, people will actually even chip in and pay to be a part of this. Actually, at Life Church of Memphis, their people they have to commit to give over their tithe and offering, $2,000 a year, to be a part of this. And that's just what they do, and you can like that or not like it, but it works really, really well to be a part of the Kingdom Builders ministry. And so what you want to do with these is you want to connect relationally. You want to connect down. You want to get to know people. You want to have a great connection with these people and connecting in with them. And then what I would say about these is I would bring in like some guest speakers. You have a great opportunity. This is time you want to bring in some guest speakers, and it may be another pastor of another church, and have some people speak into your high-capacity donors. And if they're speaking into your high-capacity donors, it's going to be great for you, and they can say some things. And like I've done some events like this, and I've connected with some people's high-capacity donors and other pastors and things like that, but it's a great value add. I know Pastor Dino and them have brought in maybe like some congressmen, some things like that. So you can bring some attractional people in that people may want to come and may want to be a part of those events. But even if you're a small church plant, you can pull this off and just invite some people in and invite them in quarterly, invite them to your home to connect relationally. Guys, listen to me. Do this. If you don't do anything else I'm talking about, quarterly connect with these people, build relational equity with them. And man, if you sign up today at GivingRocket.com/SummerSlump, inside that resource we're giving you, we give you what to do in those meetings. We literally give you agendas of how to connect with people, what to do, what to say, what not to say, what's the purpose of the meeting, what kind of invitation do you need to send out to get people there so it's not bait and switch, all of that kind of stuff. So annually, here's, oh man, I'm so fired up right now. And yes, I did just shake my head because this fires me up. Because we stumbled upon this piece about annually connecting with donors in a very cool way. In churches, whether you're a church plant, a church start, or you're an established church and you've been going a long time, you have a great opportunity to annually connect to your people. Now, here's the key with this annual piece. Now, I mean, listen, guys. If you do the annual piece I'm about to tell you, you will build a year of relational equity in 24 hours. You will build a year of relational equity in 24 hours, and you will have the opportunity to draw upon that equity throughout the year if you do need stuff and you do need to make an ask, and you draw on it just by focusing and doing a weekend with these people. Now, let me show you what to do. An overnight, well, you can call it whatever, but we call it a generosity retreat, a kingdom builders retreat, whatever. But you do it overnight, a Friday into Saturday. And again, in that resource, we give you the agenda to this. We give you the step-by-step of what to say, what to do, what to talk about, what not to talk about, the whole 9 yards. And so I don't have time to go through all of that today, but you can get that for $1 at thegivingrocket.com/SummerSlump. And inside of this, this overnight deal, here's what you want to do. The bottom line is you want to connect with them relationally, but you want to connect them to God. And you basically want to treat this like a summer camp for high-capacity donors, like a student camp environment. So you want to have some fun. You want to get some information, but more than anything, you want to offer probably 70 to 80% of inspiration to inspire them to keep doing what they're doing, to inspire them to do more, to have stories of generosity. And when generous people get around other generous people, some crazy good stuff happens. And you have the opportunity to put this together. You have the opportunity to do this by just doing an overnight retreat. And you go, how do they do it? They pay for it. In the churches I've worked in, the people will pay to do it. So we have this thing where we think, oh, well, we got to provide everything as the church. No, you can charge what the cost is for the hotel you're doing downtown, or you go to a retreat center. I've done them downtown. I've done downtown Memphis in a nice place, and I've also done retreat centers in the middle of nowhere. But you obviously want to keep it close enough, within a 30 to 45-minute driving distance, so they can get to it. But you want to go somewhere, and they'll pay for it. You just say, we want to invite you. Here's how much it costs, and here's why I think people do it. I think people do it for a night away from their kids, frankly. And so they just pay and say, hey, this is a great opportunity to go to a cool place and to connect with my pastor. And whether you want to believe this or not, people put pastors and you as a ministry leader on a pedestal. And you may say, well, you shouldn't, just like you. Well, I'm just telling you, in our American culture, they do. And they think it's cool to go and to connect with you and your spouse and to connect with your ministry team at an event like this. And so they'll do it. They pay for it. You get them there. You inspire them and all that. And again, I wish I could go into all the details of what you do, but putting this on the calendar, one of the best times to do this is actually in the August, September, October time frame. And so you have the opportunity coming up to pull one of these off, and man, it will go so far with the relational equity and with the generosity leading into, guess what? Year-end giving. And so you have an opportunity. They'll pay for the deal, and then it's going to happen, and you're going to build into them. And then when year-end giving comes, with these high-capacity people, you can set a goal, and boom, you can hit it, and you can explode your giving at the end of the year and not sit around and continue to be broke and whine about why your church is broke all the time. Take a proactive measure. Go do something. Get out there, relationally connect, and get fired up about helping these people connect with Jesus, connect with other people, and then also give some big gifts, okay? So a key to this is making sure you have massive fun. As you can tell, I'm passionate, but, man, we like to have fun and have fun at this thing. I'm telling you, treat it like student camp, and they'll tell all their friends, and the crowd will grow the next year, and it will grow and grow and grow and grow and grow, and people will want to come back because you're going to make it massive fun. You're going to connect with them. They're going to love it, and you're going to be able to build into their lives. And I think the last thing I would tell you is this, is that you want to touch their heart before you ask for their hand. Now, I think this is a John Maxwell thing. I think I heard him say that before, but I don't know where it came from, but I think it is. Touch their heart before you ask for their hand. This allows you to touch their heart, and you can get into their lives and who they are and allow them to touch their heart, and then you can ask for help on the back end of this and go fund your vision in a way that you've never seen funded before. Now, here's some important stuff. Our monthly resource will provide all the details and all the documents and forms and everything for that, so you can just plug it in and use it, okay? Now I'm going to give you the church planner edition real quick, and then we've got 2 slides after that, I think, that are just some, like, you just got to know stuff. It's just got to know. It's random stuff. It didn't fit in the annual calendar, but you just have to know, okay? Here's the church plan edition. I call this the ghetto version. If you're just broke and you can't pull it off, you don't have the bandwidth, go to the pastor's living room, do an annual time in the pastor's living room and invite people over, 20, 30 people, connect in, pack them in, do the same type of event. Again, obviously, you don't want to have the kids there, set up some child care, that kind of thing. And then you can offer multiple events throughout the summer. It's a great time to do it. Call them Vision Night. You just get people together. You build into these high-capacity donors. You do a lunch. You do a dinner. You hang out with them. You have them over, and it'll work very, very, very well to connect with these people. Okay, now that's if you can't pull off the event because of capacity. Now, this is ongoing. This might be one of the most important pieces in this. Here's 3 things. The first thing is they need to know you're available as their pastor and as their ministry leader. If you're available, availability means the world to people that are high capacity. Because again, remember where we started. They're lonely people. They're unfulfilled people. They're people that are having addiction to greed. They're people that have that kind of temptations in their life. They're not surrounded by people asking them how they're doing all the time. Nobody is asking about their family. They're just asking them how we can make more money together. And so you get the opportunity to be the pastor and the leader in their life in that way. The second thing is availability. You want to be available. Now, guess what the third thing is? It's availability. You've got to remain available, and they need to feel like you are available to them, and they have an open-door policy, and they can get to you. And I promise they will not abuse it, and you don't have to shield your secretary from it and all that kind of stuff. Just give them access. Give them you as their ministry leader, as their pastor, and it works really, 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 really well. Okay? Here's some last thoughts that I would say you've got to know. If you help them accomplish their dreams, they're going to help you accomplish yours. And so with your high-capacity donors, it's more of a mindset than it is a system even that you put in place. What I mean by helping them accomplish their dreams is, guys, if you have a guy who's a high-capacity donor who owns a flooring business, send people his way. Be a cheerleader for him. Love promoting his company. I'm not saying get on the stage and preach about it, but I'm saying be a fan. Hey, here's what Pastor Dino Rizzo just told me he recently did. He just went and showed up at one of his high-capacity donors' workplace, and they did some stuff with their staff, and they just showed up, and the lady just loved it that he came and visited their workplace. Don't just invite them to your place. Go on their territory. See their offices. Help them accomplish their dreams. Help them be a better dad. Help them be a better mom. Help them accomplish the things that they want to accomplish in their life. And I promise they will help you accomplish yours on the back end, which is funding the vision, the ministry you have for your church. Here's something very important. Somebody's got to be in charge of this system. Now, I would prefer that you make GivingRocket.com/SummerSlump in charge of your system. That's me, because we're going to help do it for you. But somebody at your church has got to have ownership where they wake up in the morning and they think about this. And they think about this opportunity to connect to high-capacity donors, and they are responsible for at least a quarterly review of the system to say, how is it going? How's everything going? Now, you may go, I'm in a church plan. We can't hire a bunch of people to do this. Guys, when I was in a church plan, we didn't either. But we used volunteer stay-at-home moms that are able to administrate this and come up there. And one of the best things we used to do is we used to provide child care on our campus, or at somebody's house. You could provide child care for the 3 or 4 volunteers that come up there and administratively help you. And we recruited volunteers to do the administrative work because I'm terrible administratively and had to have the help, and that's how we figured it out. So somebody's got to be in charge of the system. Even if it's you, senior pastor, if your church is 100, you're in charge of it. I'm putting it right now. You say, I don't want to be in charge of it. Well, be in charge of it. Go after it for 6 months, and then your church isn't going to be broke anymore. You can put some money in the bank. You can have some margin, and you can operate with some financial freedom. I promise it's worth it to invest in the system. Here's another thing, is you can't measure success by just one event. You can't measure success by one event. It takes time. Guys, this is like planting an oak tree, not a bunch of zucchini plants. Zucchini plants, a couple months later, they're growing out your ears. Well, my friend Jim Stengel tells me, he's a farmer. He said that's what oak tree obviously takes years and years and years to develop, but it's strong. And so that's what you want to do, is you want to build this thing, and sure, you can get some immediate impact. Sure, you can help people. Sure, people will respond. But don't do one event and go, well, this doesn't work. Well, you don't know if it works. It's about relationships and building into these people, not just about getting something from them from one meeting. If you just want to do a donor meeting and get something from them, we'll do it. That's easy. But don't say that this is a high-capacity donor system, because really that's just a manipulation tool to get money out of somebody. So don't do that. Invest in them relationally and love them as people. And guys, GivingRocket.com/SummerSlump. Go right now. and you can get this system, you can get all of those bonuses, everything that we talked about today. And what we're going to do is I'm going to hop off the phone, and I'm going to get on Twitter, and we're going to get on this, and we may be able to answer some of your questions. And so GivingRocket.com/SummerSlump, go over there. We already have a ton of people. We only have, I can't even remember how many slots. I think it's just a few slots available that we can do for $1. So guys, thank you so much for coming. We look forward to you jumping on and joining and becoming a part of membership at GivingRocket.com. We can't wait to do this for you and be a pastor and be a friend to you, because that's one of our core values is friends first, and you are a friend to us. And so we love you. Thank you so much for being on the webinar today, and we're excited to connect with you. Look forward to seeing you at GivingRocket.com/SummerSlump and connecting with you there today. Thank you so much. I hope you guys have a great day. And if you did tweet something, that's awesome. So tweet at Casey Graham, whatever it is about the webinar. If you have a question, if you have a comment, if you want to disagree, agree, say you're fired up, and we'll send you a cool resource. So looking forward to it. Love you guys.